The difference between American and Filipinos. Stick around and find out. Hey everybody, welcome back to walkingmanwalks. I'm back with another video. If you guys like my videos, consider buying me a coffee. That will be linked in the description down below. That money goes towards buying new equipment and stuff. I don't make any money off my channel, so it's just a little bit here and there. I mean, I am monetized now. It's about $20 a month or so. Buy me a coffee will be linked in the description. Don't feel obligated, but if you want to help out my channel, it's $5 to buy me a coffee. There's a membership there. For $10 a month, you get a little more, but anything is appreciated, believe me. Okay, the difference between American and Filipinos is mostly cultural. We're both democracies. We're both primarily Christian, Catholic Christian in the Philippines. There is a Muslim portion of the population, mostly in the South. I have traveled in the South, and it's nice and safe. There's parts you don't want to go to, but there's lots of parts on Mindanao. For instance, Davao, the second biggest city in the Philippines, is on Mindanao, where the biggest Muslim populations are. And Davao is also considered the safest city in the Philippines. However, south of Davao, a couple hours, you could be in one of the most dangerous parts of the Philippines. The most dangerous part is probably the Sulu island chain off the southwestern coast of Mindanao. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's an aside. But back to the differences between Americans and Filipinos. One of the main differences, I think, like in general, between American and Filipinos is Filipinos are a glass is half full culture, where America, especially these days, is kind of a glass is half empty culture. America is, they're always looking at what they don't have. You know, they don't have as nice a car as their neighbor. They don't have as big a house as their neighbor. You know, we have this culture in America that the bigger the TV, the better, nicer the car, the bigger the house, the better the job, the better the salary, the more important you are, the better person you are. It's not really like that in the Philippines. They're a culture of glass is half full. For instance, on some of my comments on my last video, if you watched it, I'll link that here. But somebody commented on it. The video is called 5 Reasons the Philippines Better Than US. I'll link it here so you can watch it if you want. But anyway, somebody commented on that video from the Philippines. I have a lot of subscribers from the Philippines because a lot of my videos are on the Philippines. Since I spend half the year in the Philippines and half the year in the US, I have a lot of experience in the two cultures. I've been doing that for several years now. So I'm by far not the most knowledgeable guy on this stuff, but I definitely know quite a bit now, dating a Filipina for the last couple of years. But one thing for sure, and I've mentioned some other videos, is family. But going back to the video, 5 Reasons the Philippines are better than the US, a guy commented on there from the Philippines, and what he said is, he said, the Philippines is a great country, we live really well here. So I just wanted to show the difference in cultures with some of my comments that I've gotten on my video, 5 things that are better in the Philippines than the US. One comment I got, thank you for your video. I got sick of the People's Republic of California years ago and moved to the Philippines. I served in the Navy in Subic Bay back in the day and fell in love with the people and the country. One of the best things about the Philippines is the people. Everyone I meet has been super friendly and will stop and talk to you. Not so much in California. People here look at you like you are trying to rob them if you just say hello. I would take the Philippines over the US any day of the week. I love living there. So that was a comment from American, obviously, moving to the Philippines. And that is one of the differences. People in the Philippines are just way more friendly than people in the US. I've never lived in California. I've been there, obviously. Colorado here, I have to say, is a pretty friendly state. But if you go to places like New York City, a lot of places in the Midwest, any real cities, you know, people aren't super friendly. But in the Philippines, everybody's smiling at you. Hi, Po. Po is what they call anybody that's older than them. So all the kids will call you Po, and young adults and everybody. It's a sign of respect. So let's keep going. So Mick Flores Balain, he sounds like a Filipino, says, I believe to all what you have said. I had lots of white customers before. They said that in the US there are lots of disrespectful people and in the Philippines they feel important in their community. They feel warm inside. They said it's awesome here. That's one of the things that I also feel that when I'm in the Philippines. I feel like welcomed by the community. Everybody's really nice. The kids are friendly. They're playing around. They follow you down the street. Everybody wants to engage in conversation. You know, any more in the US, people are off put. They don't really want to talk to you. I mean, not everywhere. Don't get me wrong, but some places that's definitely how it is. And if people don't know you in some parts of the US, or they think, God forbid, you're a liberal in some parts of the US, or you're a conservative in some parts of the US, I mean, they won't like you here just for your political views. That's not even really a thing in the Philippines. They're largely, unaware of politics. I mean, they know who their president is and stuff. They became aware when I first started living there, when Duterte was president, and he had his war against drugs and drug addicts, and had a lot of drug addicts, not so much drug dealers, killed. He basically put out a bulletin saying anybody who kills a drug addict will be rewarded with so much money. So you had regular people. I mean, I read an interview of a girl who had a baby out of wedlock, and she was in her early 20s, and she went and shot a drug addict and got a reward for it. But
shut the fuck up.
This is a drug addict, not a drug dealer. Okay, anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's politics. In the Philippines, the president now, Marcos, son of Ferdinand Marcos, the wannabe dictator from the 80s. I mean, it's definitely more of a democracy now, so Marcos seems to be doing a good job as president. We'll see. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, here's a good one from BooBoo6714. I traveled to the US on a student visa, but had to cut my stay. I was surprised that my skin color was an issue, as it had never been a problem for me. Bigotry in the US is much worse than I had ever imagined. Sadly, being referred to as a dog eater several times for no reason, self-importance is so blatant and out of proportion, as if Americans are angry at the world for not being given enough. Most striking is the normality of drug use and schizophrenia. We may see poverty and street children here due to being a below middle class country with pathetic low labor wages and inequality, but I have never seen so many unhappy and dangerously wanting people, especially in a country considered the richest in the world. Now let's consider that for a minute. That is saying something. This is a student from the Philippines who traveled to the US, had the opposite experience of me. He came here and he faced bigotry. And I've heard people, white men especially, that I've run into. I actually ran into a white guy in Colombia several years ago who was married to a Colombian woman down there. I ran into him at one of the tourist spots. He was married to a Colombian woman, and I told him that I had been to the Philippines and stuff. He just said flippantly, no pun intended, "Oh yeah, those flips are all over San Diego where I'm from. They're useless," or something like that. And flips, I never heard the term before, but that's a slur for Filipinos. I don't like it, but I understand what this kid is talking about. And he's right. I mean, drugs are way more prevalent in the US than the Philippines. I mean, it's not really a big thing. There is a drug culture and everything, but it's not like the US, It depends on your definition of homeless, but I don't think the homeless situation is as bad in the Philippines as it is in the US. If you think somebody living in small, they call it a kubo there. It's like a little wooden house, usually has no windows, open air. They're usually nice and cool because of the way they set them up. It's, the way the wind blows, and they set them up so the way it's facing the sun and the way it's facing the wind direction. So it's cool at the right times of day and stuff. I mean, I've stayed in a kubo. They're nice. It is primitive though, like in the Philippines, that's not homeless. Like that's a permanent house that people live in for 100 years. Somebody living in a cardboard box on the streets of New York. Last time I was back in New York, I couldn't believe how many young Caucasian dudes that like the kind of guys I would see in like Boulder, Colorado, were living homeless in the streets of New York. And he's right. A lot of them had schizophrenia. I could tell they were, they had drug problems, just living in cardboard boxes and sleeping bags. I mean, this was February in New York a few years ago when I was there. Okay, let's keep going. All right, Listerine414 says, Ray Liotta lives. I think that's a comment on how I look. I have blue eyes and gray hair like Ray Liotta had when he was older. So yeah, thank you. I guess that's a compliment. Next one, Eugene Kobasic. It's been my experience, and most people I know, including other Phils, it's cheap, but they do a pretty bad job. Try to get some decent Wi-Fi, you out of luck. So there's a comment from a Filipino who doesn't like the Philippines, it sounds like, and he may be living in the US. I wish he gave me more information there. And Wi-Fi is, I mean, he's probably living somewhere in the US. Like for me here in Colorado, the Wi-Fi is actually better in the Philippines. Well, I got Starlink here recently, so it's better here now. But I'll probably, if I could afford it, get Starlink in the Philippines as well. Right now I have a Globe, which is, you get like 20 megabytes per second. It's okay, I guess, and Starlink 200 megabytes per second. But yeah, it's definitely an issue there. Wi-Fi, electricity. So that's definitely a difference in the Philippines, but this video is more about what's the difference in culture. So, okay, so this is one of the positive comments I wanted for you guys to hear. So this guy says, "No, I'm Filipino. US is better than Philippines. We are a poor nation country, but we are full of kindness, friendly hospitality. We have lots of disasters, typhoon, shaking, earthquake, even if we are facing our daily problems, but we can smile at each other and we will survive. We can eat 3 times a day, even low salary. Ha ha ha. Filipino are so crazy, singing, sports, basketball, celebrating Christmas month, September, October, November, December, long Christmas, celebrate." Okay, so English is his second language. Like most Filipinos, they speak Tagalog. That's a main difference in the two cultures. But it's not so much of a difference because any Filipino under 50 or under 60, I would say, learned English in early grammar and elementary school. So yeah, there's younger people, like people who didn't go to school. They usually don't know English, but the majority of the country goes to school. There's a lot of schools there. I mean, there's a school on every block, literally, in the Philippines. They have a big school culture there. They all learn. Even, my girlfriend currently, she grew up very poor on the farm, but she still went to public school and she still speaks really good English. The thing I love about this comment is he says, even though we have typhoons and earthquakes and problems, if we get 3 meals a day of rice, he's probably talking about, we're happy. That's what I mean about the difference between Filipinos and Americans. They have a glass is half full, where most Americans have the glass is half empty. They focus on what they don't have. Oh, I don't have the hottest girlfriend. I don't have the nicest car. I don't have the nicest house. I don't have the best job. Where the Filipinos, they focus on what they do have. Oh, I have 3 meals a day. I'm good to go. What else do I need? I have a roof over my head, 3 meals a day. I make a little money. I'm happy. And then he says at the end there, where the town I live in currently, the small town of Dingras, everybody knows each other. I mean, I don't even know the size of the town, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, something like that. But there's a bunch of towns around. I mean, there's definitely, but everybody in Dingras knows each other. You go to the festival. Even me there, when I was first living there, I went to the festival and I was walking around and somebody yells at me, "Hey, where's your girlfriend?" And it's one of the girls from the store in town. She's good friends with my girlfriend now. Me and my girlfriend moved there together. It's a couple towns away from the farm town she grew up in, about a half-hour drive. Now, just to conclude, I don't think that, Americans are all terrible and bad. I think a lot of the problem in America now is the propagandization of Americans, the fake news, and not the fake news that Donald Trump and the Republicans talking about. I'm talking about the fake news like vaccines don't work, Haitians are eating dogs and cats in Ohio. Just that stuff is ridiculous, but we have a lot of people in our country who just buy into anything that some people say. They need to check the facts and make sure they do the proper research. And research isn't talking to your friends on Facebook. Research is reading articles in established news outlet websites, or like the New York Times, a real newspaper, or just some influencer guy like me on YouTube telling you, this and this is going on. Haitians are eating dogs and cats. You have to do some real research. You just can't believe that stuff because they have all those people saying those things have ulterior motives. They're making tons of money off of it. But I think that's one of the, you know, Americans aren't bad in general. They've just been so propagandized by mostly the right wing in this country, to be honest, and lied to by the right wing and told that all their problems, and they have many problems, Americans, I'm one of them. Everything's really expensive. We have a lot of debt. But anyway, just to wrap it up,
Cricket, stay on topic here, man.
the difference in the cultures, and to say it in a few sentences, is the Filipinos are a glass half full culture and Americans are a glass half empty culture. Where I think back in the 50s and 60s, Americans used to be a glass half full culture. But we've been beat down so much by the 1% and the political class that the middle class in the US has been so marginalized by tax laws and Citizens United, and I don't want to get into it, but
of doing everything ass fucking backwards.
so those are the main differences between Americans and Filipinos. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, share with everybody. That would be great. All that stuff helps my channel. I appreciate all you guys. I'm at almost 2,100 subscribers, which is awesome. Thanks again. I'll see you on the next video.